Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick Show, which is our standard Monday night rant on everything involving GT7 and F1, and of course, sim racing. And my wonderful and committed guest, who always turns up. It is, of course, not that quick, Neil Chandler. Neil, good to see you. How are you doing?
Evening, Hugh. Very well, thank you, mate. Can't complain.
That's good. And we're off to a great start. It's the Monday. You've had a day of streaming and a day of GT7 streaming. And how has your racing been so far?
Yeah, very good question. Racing is a loose term, I think.
Yeah.
I wouldn't race. I think fighting would probably be a more accurate word to describe what I've been doing today on Gran Turismo. 75% absolute dross and 25% really good.
Oh, wow.
But
so it's slightly better than normal.
Slightly better than normal. Yeah. It was an interesting, but the thing is, it's Monday. Mondays are always an interesting day because it's the new dailies and everyone wants to play, and you get a real mixture of people, and some people may not be how can I put it? How can I say it whilst being politically correct?
You don't have to be.
They might not have any idea whatsoever about how to play Gran Turismo or where they're going. That's what I was trying to get at. And I found that a little bit today. And also, apparently, some of these people don't need brakes; they use cars.
Yes, that does seem to be a common factor. But we've got quite an interesting kind of series of races and combinations this week. Race A being in Tokyo. And it's using the Honda Civic, which I really do like, actually. That's a nice car. A very nice car.
Like a Civic.
And I do like a Civic. Although when I watched Tisney's race guide, he wasn't massively keen on that race, but I think I'm definitely going to have a go. I had a good look at it today, and I quite like that, the Tokyo Midnight kind of raceway. It's always quite fun. I mean, it's kind of crazy for the barriers and the walls, but I've done some reasonable times there, so I'm hoping I'll get a shot on that. And then we've got race B, which is at Grand Valley, which they haven't. No, not Grand Valley. Is the
High Speed Ring.
Yeah, High Speed Ring, and in Group 4, and everyone's using Bugattis. That seems to be the car of choice.
I think that's going to be one that is has a meta car that develops fairly quickly, I think.
Because what was quite interesting, I was watching Tisney's guide, and when he did his lap guide, he wasn't quite wall riding, but on that long left-hand corner, he's basically on that kind of green bit. As long as he's within the line, he stays as high up as he can, and that's seemingly where the time is. So I look forward to trying to set time on that one. I've been driving buses all day and not had a chance to actually get behind the wheel. So, and when you drive buses, you've got to account for a lot more time in your braking areas and things like that. So it takes a bit of adjustment when I jump into a rig and have a go. But then you were doing race C. Simon's here. Simon, good to see you, Simon. Yes, we're just talking about the different races, Simon, and our main one is race C, which is where you were just about to say, Neil, how your race has been.
It's got soft tyres, Hugh. Soft ones, not mediums, not hards, soft ones. However, what's interesting, I think, this week is that race C is the longer race, is 12 laps, and you get soft tyres. Race B is the shorter race, you get 5 laps, but you get hard tyres. There's something wrong there. Why does the long race have soft tyres, but the short one has the hard tyres? That one confuses me a little bit. However, I'm not complaining because I think people were still using Etch-a-Sketch and playing Connect 4 on their downtime the last time that soft tyres were available in Gran Turismo. So I think we should be grateful for small mercies and just enjoy the fact that for 7 days, this week, we can use soft tyres on a Group 3 car. Just what a time to be alive. Honestly. I'm struggling to contain my excitement here at the moment.
I think it's as if they want us to suffer, don't they? That's what they give racing hard. That's what I'm surprised it's not Comfort Sports in a Group 3 or something. But it's that kind of that waiting to see how they do that. But now we've got Simon, we've got Kiwi, we've got DTR, and we've got somebody else lurking in there too. So yeah, it's great to see you and a very, very warm welcome. Let us know what you think in the comments of this week's races and, of course, the topics that we cover. I'm going to say, Simon, we'll need to get you on the show too, because Simon has a legendary knowledge of F1, and he can remember all of the things that I have forgotten. I can only remember bits of. Simon knows exactly what corner, what track, what year, and what car. So we'll need to get Simon on. Now, Kiwi, I'll ask you very quickly. You are very fast on race A. You must be enjoying the Honda Civic, because I'm sure you'll be very good at that. But because normally Kiwi does very, very fast times in there, almost up there with Tidgney and Woody Boy. That the daily race are going this week. That. Are good, certainly. No, they are. I think because you've had obviously daily race. See, it just shows you that when you get a chance to actually have a proper race with proper tyres, you can actually have a real race. Because that's the other thing. Because you've got the soft tyres, the distance in the grid formation isn't as bad when they do the rolling start. So you can kind of catch up. But what have you said has been your most enjoyable times about this combination?
I think. I've only touched C today, so I can't really comment on A or B because I've not driven either of them. But C for me is pretty good this week. I like Deep Forest. I'm a big fan of that circuit, even though me and the last corner, depending on which direction you'll go in, but the hairpin, we haven't got on for a long time. We're not friends at all. That corner hates me, and I don't like it. It's
a horrible hairpin, isn't it?
It's just awful. It doesn't matter where I brake or where I turn in. I can pretty much guarantee that I could get at least 4 cars between me and the apex of that corner. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I hate it. But the race itself, I think, is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's also, a few people were going with the Ford GT because of its straight line speed, but it isn't. I don't think it's the quickest car. There's a few this week, which at the moment, I think is quite interesting. I tried 3 different cars today.
Oh, that's quite good then. Yeah.
Whereas usually I just stick to one.
Yeah.
But usually I would use probably the Porsche because it's the one I'm most comfortable with. But I've tried the little Alpha. I've tried the Ford GT. I know some people have tried all sorts of different cars.
The Ford GT seemed popular. That seemed to be one that we're using quite a lot.
It's just the brakes on it are made of plastic.
Yeah.
And you get one corner where you could stop a little bit, and the rest of them, no, just give up.
Yeah. It reminds me of my bus brakes that I thought were made of wood. That
honestly, I think if you put a plastic bag out of the sunroof and just opened it up, that would slow it down faster than whatever it is that they fixed to the front of the car, because it just doesn't stop. It's horrendous, awful.
Oh, like Fred Flintstone brakes.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. Yeah,
that's the open door.
Stick your feet on the floor and hope you stop.
Yeah. No, it is.
It's a case of pressing the pedal and hoping for the best in that car.
Yeah,
a bit of a roulette. You might stop, you might not. Who knows? You find out when you either get round the corner or you're facing the wrong direction on your roof. That's pretty much how that car goes, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that is a thing, isn't it? Now we've got T3 May3 Chicken has joined us.
That is the worst.
I don't know how you pronounce that. Oh no! Last week it was like Tecum or something, wasn't it?
I think something like that. I'm going with
Tim Chicken.
Team. Yeah, him.
We will try and do that one. But now they're talking about race A, and last week, oh goodness me, I tried race A. 10. And it was in the 10, that's 10. Yeah, that 10 is okay. We will remember that 10. I'm sorry, I've got the memory of Biden. I'm afraid I can't remember what was in, what was out. But we will do our best. I'll have to write that down so I can remember that. that so I can use a teleprompter. But yeah, on race A, we were, of course, it was in the Suzuki's. We were in the Suzuki Jimneys. I'm not surprised most people left, didn't bother doing it, because I did it, and I was 8 seconds slower than Tidgney, because I think it was all tuning. And although I thought I had followed his tuning guide, I clearly hadn't.
8 seconds.
8 seconds off. I just didn't have the power.
Like something I do. That's usually how far I'm behind.
But it's more. It was all to do with the tuning, and then he did a video on how he managed to get the car so much faster, and how to get the PP to within the 420 that it was without. I was doing something wrong. You had to kind
of. Yeah, it was one of those, wasn't it?
I'm quite pleased that one was. Well, I shouldn't have bothered with it, to be fair, but I had to go when I had a few minutes. But this week, of course, with the Hondas, and now they're all saying it's wall riding. Which is the thing, because people are hitting the walls on race A and race B and managing to do a quick time if they get it right. But certainly race A is tricky. But at least there's a bit more of a fine art with that one, and it can be quite fun. Keep saying race A was about tuning, had nothing to do with racing. Yeah, it's just not. You just don't. If you're going to race with a Suzuki Jimny, surely you would do it with dirt tires, or on a kind of slower track, so it's a bit more kind of a flat track, not something that's over the hills. And Tim was saying last week's race A was absolutely terrible. Never again, please. Yeah, I know that was it was kind of mad, because you kind of think. See, I think they should do race A as a bit more of a kind of faster combination. Because it gives you a chance to do something. Like use the cars that are in the Legends. Because that's the one time you might not be able to afford to buy them, but it would be quite good to use those kind of cars. Like some of the old Ferraris and Maseratis, and or the Audi Quattros, whatever it might be. They tried a Mimi race. Yeah, that was it. I did a race. I made a race up with a Volvo 240s at Colorado Springs on dirt tires, and it was great fun. And I managed to get airborne and go upside down in my car, which was quite fun. But I'll need to.
I'm not sure that's the. I don't think that's the optimal way around a race, to be honest.
But should we get on to ACC? Because as this week's races are fairly kind of normal, kind of reasonable, but not anything particularly special. But ACC is where it seems to be at just now, isn't it? Especially with this new SimGrid.
I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
Let's see. Tim saying, I'm a B-rated driver who likes to try to compete with A and A+ drivers. Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's not much room in there, is there? I mean, you're not far away. If you're B-rated, you're just a little bit away from A and a bit more away from A+. But it's very competitive at that time. I got a top 100 on race Q time trial. I wonder if that's race C or race A. That's pretty good, because if you can get that is really decent. I'm tempted to have a go, but it'll be later on, probably tomorrow when I have a chance to do it. But yeah, so let's get on to race A. Let's get on to ACC. So what has been your biggest compliment about ACC? What do you think has been so good about it?
The main thing, or the main reason I am enjoying it, I think, is the races seem cleaner. And I think it's kind of the people that play ACC, I think, especially on the competition servers, I think they're people that have an interest in motorsport, and they drive as is intended. They treat it as a simulator. So I did a short video. I should have sent it over actually, so we could have a look at it. If you have, here's an example. If you have Monza as a daily race in Gran Turismo, you can pretty much guarantee that the first corner is imminent death. Everyone's going to die. Yeah. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're at the front or the back, you're going to get killed at the Monza chicane on the first corner. It's going to happen. So I did a race on ACC as part of SimGrid Seasons on one of their quick races. And I was nervous because, unlike Gran Turismo, in ACC, there is no ghosting.
Yeah, that's it.
if somebody hits you, there's no oof, the car's disappeared. No, that you're getting hit, and it's a proper accident. So I was a little bit nervous, but everyone got towards the first corner, and then everyone did what you would normally do in a race situation. And because everyone's so close, they brake a bit earlier and they're a bit more careful. Nobody's trying to win the race on the first corner. Everyone's a little bit more careful, and then they get through the first chicane, and then they kind of, as the grid sort of spaces out a little bit, people start thinking about overtakes and things. And I thought, this is brilliant, and I liked it that much. I made a short about it. I made a short video about it, and entitled it "I Got Through the First Corner at Monza," because it never happens. And that was the first kind of experience that I had with ACC or with the SimGrid seasons, because you have to do 3 of these quick races before you're allowed to do any of the more extensive races. And I think coming from a background of bits of motorsport and karting and things, for me, it's more realistic. The car behaves in the way you would expect it to behave, depending on your inputs and things. And it's just, everything sort of comes together, the noises, the way the car feels, everything, just everything about it. For somebody that is into motorsport, it is in a completely different league to Gran Turismo. I think that's one of the things that people are kind of getting too sort of involved with. People are trying to kind of compare ACC to Gran Turismo when you can't, because they're 2 completely different games. ACC is Gran Turismo is a pick up the pad and off you go, whereas ACC, to be remotely competitive, you need the car needs to be set up properly, and that's different depending on whatever circuit it is. You can drive it without a setup, but you'll find that everyone else is disappearing off into the distance that does have one. So you need to get your setup sorted. Your tire pressures need to be right. You need to make sure that you've got the right amount of fuel in, depending on whether it's qualifying or rate. There's so much that goes into it, and I think it can look a bit intimidating when you first get onto it, because it's completely different to Gran Turismo. But once you get your head around the little bits and pieces, it's far more enjoyable for me anyway. It's just everything about it is better. I can't find any fault with it at all.
I find it easier to set it up. So when you do a car setup, it's quite quick. You can get to the pages really easily, and it just seems to make a bit more sense. And I find that you can have like a safe setup, but then you can go and change it.
Well, and this is it. This is one of the main. This is another main reason. One of the good reason why it's better. You set your car up for that circuit. So the proving ground races on the SimGrid seasons or on ACC, they use the same track from Tuesday to Tuesday. So you pick a car that you're comfortable with, you stick a tune on it, you save that tune, and then when you go into the race, you can just load that tune up and you're done. Whereas with Gran Turismo, with tuning's enabled, you need to reset the car up every time, and it's just a bit of a pain, I think. But once it is a little bit fiddly on ACC, it's not difficult to do it, but you only have to do it once. Once you've done it, that's it. It's set up, saved, done.
No, that's it. I think I say Tim is saying that he's playing ACC but on a pad. That is tricky, because it's really not designed for that, and it's quite much more for a wheel and pedals to kind of get that feel. But no, it is quite a thing. And Keith has asked us a very good question, all the way from Arizona. Keith, it's good to see you. And he's saying, is ACC going to be basically dropped when Evo comes out? Which, of course, is a silly course for Evo. I wonder. They say the graphics are really good, and it's supposed to.
They do look good. The problem is it's only coming out initially on PC.
Right.
So I think PC players will probably move over to Evo, but the console players won't be able to, because I think it will come out on console. I think they'd be silly not to have it on console as well.
Because you used to be able to get a set of Corsa on console. and it was quite good.
Yeah.
Actually, it was quite fun.
Yeah. So I think it will eventually be on console. And I would assume that the SimGrid servers will go with that. At least I hope so.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't think it will be dropped completely. But I think eventually, when it is available on console for PC and when it's available for PC and console players, I think I think ACC will, and it's like any title. When the new game comes out, everyone wants to play the new one.
Yeah. Well, they'll have to improve it. They'll have to improve ACC. And maybe, I mean, the thing is that I'm sure over time there'll be a second one, or there'll be a major, major revamp, that kind of thing. But it is a great game, and it shows you how a good game can last a long time and still be very.
The impressive thing is, it's 6 years old.
Yeah, and it's, if anything, it's more popular now than it's been. They've really managed to make it work.
The SimGrid thing has boosted the game massively.
Yeah. Good, big credit to David Perel for doing that. I think because I was thinking, I wondered if he.
Sorry, you carry on.
I was wondering if he'd maybe tried to approach, Gran Turismo to see if he could do it with them, and maybe they said the rights would be too much or the cost would be too much, and so of course he already has his connections with ACC, with Coach Steve and all these kind of things. So then he went ahead with that. But really a great idea and a great bit of work he's done with his team to be able to get that sorted.
It's spot on, honestly. And every race, I think some people have had difficulty sometimes getting into some of the servers, but the ones that I've got into, there's no lag. It doesn't seem to have many bugs at all. And if you look at Gran Turismo, you get laggy servers, you get a race that will start where half the grid's left behind and the other half disappears off into the distance. And we've had it as bad as servers have just not loaded at all. I think it was, I'm probably going back to last year. I think it was last year. If you remember when the servers just shut down completely. And people could join a race and it would just sit on the loading screen for hours, literally hours.
What happened?
And it went on for about a week and a half. They just didn't do anything to fix it. And the good thing about the SimGrid is they've got a really active Discord. So if you've got any issues with it, you can just pop a note into Discord. And I had an issue where I couldn't join a server. It kept coming up with a message saying server not found. So I put a note in the Discord, and within minutes somebody had answered it and gone, well, this happened to me, and I turned this on and then it worked, and I tried it, and
that was that.
Lo and behold, off it went. Really good. The way it's thought out and the way it's been put together and the whole website and everything else is really good.
Kiwi has said that in days gone by, he said he used to have engineers to help him with the setup, because of course Kiwi has been a real racing driver. He's raced, but he says he should have paid more attention back then. And but it is because I'm like, when I tried ACC and I had no idea about setups, so you have to kind of really it's complete trial and error as to how you do it. And I mean, you turn a little bit of traction control down. You try. I didn't even know that you could have brakes. You could have, if it was a short race up to an hour, they were better to put it on one rather than two. And it did work. It made a big difference. Play around with all of that. Tire pressures, just getting your tire pressures. It should be
tire pressures.
27 if it's a Group 3. And just from working in a few and playing it in Taya and Jeff's old leagues that they had, they were fantastic for learning, because people would tell you as well, look, try this, try that. So it was good fun trying to figure it out. I know I don't deal with all, you have like toe angles and all these other things you can change. I am considering though subscribing to David Perel's kind of monthly setup guide for ACC, because I say it's like a $5 or a $10, I think, for the different packages you can get.
Coach Dave Academy.
And then he gives you all the setups.
I've subscribed to it for two reasons. A, for the setups, and B, it gives you it includes a grid pass for the sim grid.
Oh, does it? Oh, that's
yeah, which is good. So for that 12 or however many pound a month it is, you get quite a lot.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is it doesn't work with console.
Yeah. So you have to.
So
that's all right.
Yeah,
quite
which
quickly.
is fine. Which is what I've been doing. Is I've got the monitor in front of me and I'm on the console, and I'll have ACC loaded up on the PC next to me on a separate monitor.
Yeah.
And I've just manually inputted the setups from there.
All right. Well,
if you're playing on PC, it's brilliant. You can just load up a setup that's automatically saved from Coach Dave. And the good thing is you can have the telemetry data running in the background. So after you've done your session, it will log all of your lap times, your tire temperatures, everything else, and you can have a look through it, and you can go sort of really in depth with it.
Yeah.
And that makes it more appealing. But I think that's, to me and people like Joe and Kiwi who have done racing before, that's going to be more appealing because you feel like you're doing proper racing again.
Yeah.
You don't really get that with Gran Turismo, unfortunately. But it's like I say, it's a different game. You can't compare the two, I don't think.
Yeah. No, it's Kiwi was just saying that he told his engineers what he didn't like, and then they adjusted it for him. And then he says, maybe I should get back in contact with the guys and get them to do my ACC setup. That would be the thing.
They do make a big difference as well, the setups, I must admit. I was a bit apprehensive, and I'd heard people talk about it, and I'd never really used one, and I hadn't really played anything on ACC. And I watched a couple of amateur DT driver, Freddie.
Oh yeah, he's been very good.
He'd spoke about Coach Dave. Rory also uses Coach Dave. So I kind of thought, well, if these guys are using it, then there's obviously a reason why they're using it. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'll just subscribe and I'll see what happens. And I got myself set up and I did 2 or 3 laps around Silverstone with no setup on. Then I then I saved a Coach Dave setup, and instantly within 2 laps, 4 seconds a lap faster.
Really?
Oh yeah, straight away. And it makes the game, because I was a little bit disappointed because without a tune on or without a setup on, the car feels a bit kind of floaty.
Yeah.
And you don't really feel like you've got any grip or any control over the car. But when you put a setup on, after a couple of laps where your tires get up to temperature, it completely different, totally different feeling, so much better. So I would strongly advise anybody thinking of, or is a bit sort of on the fence about using Coach Dave setups, definitely 100% do it, because they make a lot of difference.
Political Minds has joined us. Jonathan, my good friend Jonathan, has joined us. Now Jonathan has a rig like my old one. He's got one of the it was the small one that we used to fold up, one from Playseat to the Playseat Challenge. And I've been trying to say, come on, John, it's time to spend some money and get himself a proper rig with all the bits, because I think he'd be very good, especially as he takes time off in the winter. I'm sure he'd be excellent. But yeah, no, it's quite a thing. I mean, I just think it's ACC allows you to learn how to drive faster. Once you get into it, and every lap you do, you can find a slightly better line. You can work on tires, all the kind of things. Even just turning points can make a dramatic difference. And also you can't cut curbs. You're going to take off if you go on the curbs.
Just sorry, Hugh, before I forget, that's another good thing about Coach Dave. Coach Dave has lap guides or short or videos.
That's good.
For every setup, for every car on every circuit. So you can watch one of these videos and you can see where they're braking, where they're turning in, and try and copy their lines and use the setup to its full potential.
Yeah.
Really, really
Yeah.
good.
It's quite a thing. And Tim has said, when I get myself that new wheel and rig, let's do endurance race together, Kiwi. I'm sure that would be a formidable partnership. And then John has said she was going to get me an epic deal once he gets his discount code. You wish.
I do have some news actually on things like rigs. I received an email today from a very nice chap at GT Omega, who, as we all know, do rigs and things, and the channel is now affiliated with GT Omega, so I will shortly have a discount code available.
Very good. And they're built in Glasgow, aren't they? They build they're
at North Summer. Yeah,
it should have an Iron Brew sticker on the side.
But yeah, so that's something that's on the boil at the moment.
Yeah,
which is good. Yeah.
Well, I have some very exciting news about. I should have done this as a kind of. I will put it out as a video when we can when it comes closer. But
we like news too. Yes, let's have some. Yeah. Go on.
Yes, but this is breaking news to all of our viewers and listeners that in the late fall coming this year, in the autumn, there will be a new Simrig centre in Newcastle, and I have been asked to help provide the sim rigs for it. It's going to be a kind of gaming centre, so they're doing all sorts of different types of games. But at this location, which is going to be in this quite near the centre of Newcastle, we are going to have some proper sim rigs in there, starting off with 2 and eventually getting up to 4. But it's going to be really, really nice rigs, and anyone who is subscribed will get at least 10% off or more if they come in and have a go. If you're visiting Britain, or if you live in Britain and you fancy a trip up to Newcastle, then you can let me know and we'll get you booked in. But we are finally going to be able to have sim rigs. I've always wanted a sim rig centre, and my good friend Sam, who's decided to start up a new gaming centre, said, "Look, you do sim rigs. I want some sim rigs in here." So it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to get it started and get it going, because I'm going to stream from there. We're going to do competitions. We'll hopefully get some people in like yourself, Neil. We'll get maybe Rory to come along and a few others.
Excuse me, I best not be being charged for it, Hugh. I'd like a red carpet. And I'd like a Bentley outside my house to take me to GT7 Centre, please. Thank you.
Who thinks we should charge Neil even more? I'm only going to get your American Express card numbers before the end of the show. That's the one bit. But yeah, so I can't wait, because it's kind of what I wanted to do for years and years and years and years. And now finally it's coming to fruition. So it's, and Kiwi says, "Do I need to bring Cole with me?" Well, it depends. It depends. I'll take any sort of payment that as long as I can sell it, or Bitcoin, or whatever it might be. But no, it'll be well priced. It'll be good fun. But no, to all the guys that I know here, of course, we'll do a great deal. And Jonathan says, "Standing for my discount code for a Glaswegian sim rig, and it's going to be a muck sim rig."
Muck sim rig. Everything in Scotland has muck in front of it. Everything by law.
And Tema says, if he comes all the way from Finland, I might just give it to you for free. If you're coming from other countries,
you can't charge him if he's come all the way from Finland. No,
but I'm a Scotsman. I'm known for being very careful with their money. So it was the way. But no, of course there'll be definitely a free shot, I'm sure. But I'm looking forward to it, because hopefully we'll be able to stream from there, do competitions, do time trials. And hopefully get some of the people like Tidney or Rory to come along as well. Set a time, maybe even try and get Super GT to see if he might come along, because sometimes he does kart racing just south of Newcastle. So we might see if we could get him to come along and say that this is the best ever Simrig centre he's ever been to. But that was the thing. And Tim is saying Santa will remember that. Yes, you can take video evidence if you need to. I might have tears in my eyes giving away something for free, but there you go. I will honor that for you all. But I'll have merchandise as well, so it should be quite fun. And we'll see how it develops. But that's going to be coming.
Got to do it now as well. You've said it live on the internet, so you can't back out of it now.
Yes, it is there forever, forever and ever.
See.
But yeah, so no, I'm really looking forward to that, because in fact, one of the big things is, do we do PC or do we do console? Because now the two are available. I'm still verging on PC, I think, because then I can do other games. But it's also looking at what is the best, what would be the best games to use, because I can easily get Assetto Corsa. I can get Assetto Corsa Competition. Competition. But some people also recommend things like Race Room. The software for Race Room is quite good. It's copper wire was invented by two Scots fighting over a penny. But yeah, it took me a few seconds to get that one. Arnold Swartz, he has joined us. Good to see you.
Arnold is an absolute legend. We love Arnold.
Yeah. I've just been saying that my new Simrig Centre, which I'm helping to start in the autumn, is going to be in Newcastle. So if ever you're over in the UK, you'll be welcome to come along and enjoy your stream. And I think Tim is having to go, but good to see you, Tim. You have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, Tim.
Yes, great. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, so we're going to be having our own Simrigs in this new gaming centre down in Newcastle. You're going to go off to bed. Maybe you're probably. I'm sure the timing, wherever you're in Finland, will be at least an hour ahead. But
I think they're an hour or two ahead, aren't they? I think.
Yeah. But now you'll be dreaming of ACC and all sorts of things, and getting lost in Newcastle trying to find a Simrig centre. But no, that's the thing. So yeah, it is exciting because there's so many games coming out now. I know earlier on we were some of the comments were about waiting for the PS Pro, the PS5 Pro, which might even be 2028, which is a long. So it's that is a long way away, isn't it? I hope it's a wee bit earlier than that.
It should be. I think there's no real solid kind of evidence about it at the moment. It's all hearsay. There's no official word, I don't think, from anyone at Sony. There's a few sort of images flying around that people have photoshopped together and changed some colors on and things, but I don't know. I don't think 2028 seems quite a long way away. You'd expect that to be the PS6.
Yeah, kind of that's it. And I know that people were saying that potentially there might be a GT Sport 2 coming out, if that's what they will replace GT7 with.
Wow. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because that's traditionally what they've done.
Yeah.
So, but whether they go straight to 8 or whether they do a Sport 2 or a GT7 Sport, or who knows? Yeah. Maybe that's why we're not getting anything really decent in the current game, because all of their efforts are being put into the next title.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Breaking news. News decided.
Now, of course, last week, that was the other big news that kind of came after our show, was that there's going to be this new update, this big update in July.
Yes.
We're going to have a new track, the Iceland.
Thursday,
yeah, this Thursday. So that'll be something. That and then there's quite a new number of cars. But I remember that track. It looks quite good. It looks like there's real kind of cliff edges that you'll probably be able to fall right off. A gym there or something. But yeah, it was quite narrow, but it'll be designed for the kind of more of the road cars and maybe the smaller cars. But we'll have to see how that all kind of happens. But the thing is, it's so competitive. The marketplace is full of new games, and the games are getting better to different degrees. So I suppose they're all trying to, to kind of update things. But I have to say, it wasn't particularly the track that I would have chosen. I would have thought, like Montreal would have been quite good.
Well, that's what people were saying, wouldn't it? People were saying, because the finals were being held in Montreal. That's what people were kind of assuming. But I would imagine that it must be far harder to get the rights to use a circuit like that than it is to just create a new one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. See, I kind of think, could Gran Turismo not go to some of the older tracks that are now no longer used? Like the old version of Hockenheim. That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, you think they wouldn't have to pay much to get royalties for that? or at least kind of, make something that would be an amazing track. Bringing these old racetracks back to life, I think would be fantastic. Or even like, I suppose Monaco. Actually, you try and speak to Princess or Prince Rainier and say, by the way, we need to. Oh, it's kind of public property, isn't it? It's a kind of public road.
Yeah.
They didn't used to call it Monaco, didn't they? They used to in the old GT Sport games. They not used to call it like it was
Simon slightly.
Yeah, it was like d'Azur. It was like Côte d'Azur, wasn't it? It was
something like that. Even it was sort of loosely based on Monaco, wasn't it? It was but you knew it was kind of Monaco, but they kind of changed it a little bit and called it a different name.
Because some of the single player, you had to do a full 80-odd lap race, or 78 laps in a Grand Prix car, and you had to change tires every 5 laps because they were on these ridiculous levels, and that took you about 2 hours. But we did it, and then you got the trophy at the end of it if you won. But it's kind of, it'd be interesting to see what kind of circuits that they could do that. I think people would really love and say, oh yeah, we've got to play this, because you can imagine racing around Monaco in the Honda Civics or something like that. That'd be actually quite a laugh, doing that kind of track in it, because at least it's a little bit wider and maybe a bit more fun. But no, it's kind of, you kind of wonder what they could really choose that might not actually cost them that much. I mean, I don't think they've got things like Bathurst, and I mean, that's popular in Australia. Obviously, being there, very popular. It's hugely historic, and obviously they've got Goodwood and things like that. But what else? There's so many tracks that they don't have that would be quite good. I'm just trying to think of ones that stand out. That things like that stuff that's, if it's not being used that much, you'd kind of think it'd be quite good. Like the Portugal tracks, the old Portugal Grand Prix, the Portuguese Grand Prix track, Estoril. They got Magny-Cours, which was known for being pretty dull, but they did have some spectacular shunts. Senna and Schumacher and others too. But it'd be
nice to have some more British tracks. I think it would be nice to have some
like Donington. They could have Donington.
Something like Donington. Donington would be good. Or
you think that cheap? That wouldn't cost them much. You think to get Donington?
I wouldn't have thought so. Something like Silverstone, I would have thought would probably set them back a fair whack, but. They used to have the Top Gear test track as well, didn't they? But
that was great fun. That was really good fun. The original one.
That got binned off. Maybe they could replace it with the Ebola drone.
Yeah. And they had the Goodwood Hill Climb. They had the route. I remember you had to go in a Volkswagen BGT or something at the time, which was really good. But actually, if they could get the Hill Climb track, and then that would be an interesting one, like for time trial. Every week, do a time trial up the hill in a road car or something else. That would be quite fun, actually. That would be quite a laugh. Let me know in the comments what you think. What combinations would be good, or what you would like to see in the next GT Sport, because it's certainly one we are getting tracks here and there, but I don't know who they're asking or who they're.
The thing is, people keep saying, they do these updates, and people are saying, well, they don't charge you anything; they're free, so nobody can complain. I'd rather,
pay
for something decent. I think the main thing that I'm kind of looking forward to is the physics change.
That's right.
There's a physics change, and there's also new tyres as well. And I don't know whether the physics are changing because of the new tyres. Maybe the tyre model's slightly different or whatever. But it'd be interesting to see how cars handle after this kind of physics update. I don't really think anything else in the update is. There's a new track,
some new cars, Subaru and a BMW, I think, aren't they?
But they're cars that are just reiterations or variations of cars that we've already got. I don't know.
Simon says that the physics are just for the dirt tracks, but don't.
There is rumor about that. But there's also, as I say, there's also these new tires that are being bought in. So people are wondering whether it's the whole tire model's been, redone completely. You're not going to know until Thursday. Unfortunately, I go away on holiday on Thursday, so I won't be able to touch it for 2 weeks. But so thanks, Gran Turismo. We've been have to submit decent for weeks, and you decide to drop it when I'm not here. I feel like I've been singled out by PD. No, obviously not. But you know, again, there's no change to any of the actual problems in the game. That or nothing that they've mentioned anyway. You know, they're giving us, we're not going to charge you for it. You can have a new track and there's new cars. Yay! But have you fixed the penalty system? No. Well, we're not interested then.
Yeah, and that can be a real issue as well. If you end up smacking into somebody, Tisney had that this morning. He had nowhere to go, and somebody went into him, and he just kind of clipped him on the side on the first lap of the race. And I had that last week when I did the race, and I got like a 4-second penalty, and there was nothing you could do.
Happened to me this morning. I got punted off about the first lap at Deep Forest. You go up down the hill on the left-hander, then up through that kind of S's section.
Yeah.
And then around the right-hander, and you come into a bridge.
All right.
Tunnel.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
As you come out of the tunnel, there's a green area on the left-hand side that you can cut quite a lot of.
Yeah.
But if you go too far over it, you get a penalty. Well, somebody had decided that the inside of my car was the ideal line for that corner and just drove straight into the side of me and pushed me across the track limits. So not only did I get punted off and I lost 4 positions, the guy that did it just drove off into the distance with no consequence whatsoever. And I got a second penalty for going over the track limits. And I'm thinking, well, really? Okay. I don't think that was deserved.
Yeah.
Simon says anywhere nice. I've got actually, it's a really exciting holiday. Apparently. And it is to do with racing as well.
Oh.
So we'll touch on it very quickly. So I'm going to France. I'm going to a place called Bergerac, which is in the Dordogne near Bordeaux.
Oh, yeah.
And but on the way back, I'm going to Le Mans. So what I have decided to do to keep the consistency on the channel, because I don't want my channel to fall through the toilet inevitably if I don't upload anything for 2 weeks. I'm going to do a series called The Road to Le Mans. So I shall do a little vlog, a little short vlog to put in the shorts feed every day. And at the end of it, I'm going to do a big long format video with a little look at Le Mans, because you can park on the Mulsanne Straight.
Yeah, that's it. It's a public road. And
and I've been there before, many years ago. But I'm going again, and I'm taking the camera, and I'm going to look all professional and maybe look like I know what I'm doing briefly. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. I'm sure you'll have a nice time, nice weather, and of course it's not long to the Olympics. Where is that? Is that end of July that it starts? Is it for the Olympics in France? That. Simon heard the police cars going by. That's me, because their police station isn't very far away, and they raced past up here, raced past at my house. But of course, one of my streams was once interrupted by the police because we had. That was in the early days when I first moved into my new house here, because we had a problem. The house next door, they had roof tiles that had fallen off, and bits of stonework that suddenly decided to fall, and it fell onto the roadside and the pavement. And I'd reported it to the police to say, look, you better come and sort it out, because we couldn't get in touch with the next door neighbours. And about 3 hours later, they did. And I was streaming live at the time. And all you could see were all that they'd brought everybody with them. They'd brought the fire brigade, and everyone came along. And there was the whole thing, even though through my shutters, you could see these lights flashing, and it was dark. And then the police came to the door saying, "Where's Mr. Hatrick?" And so I had to kind of abandon the stream halfway through. The police basically came to the door asking what was happening, but they closed off the whole road to get it, because they had to make sure that the house next door was safe. It was very funny actually, seeing all of that. People thought I was going to get arrested. They thought I was just saying that just to try and keep everybody on a different note. They're responsive in Northumberland. Yes, it only took them 3 hours to come along, but in the meantime, how many folk were flattened by falling masonry? It was quite a thing. But thankfully, nobody was injured. It was all fine. But I know it can be a bit mad. But we should get on to Formula One, because there is a big race this weekend. It's Hungary, the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Good circuit.
Hungary. It's a good circuit, actually. They've really improved it when they lengthened the start-finish straight. And I think it's going to be another cracker because we've had so many different race winners, and Hungary is a kind of short track as well, so maybe it allows other cars that aren't as quick to be a bit more competitive. Who do you think might win?
I think if any of the last races are anything to go by, I think McLaren will be one to watch.
Yeah.
I think obviously Red Bull are going to be, Verstappen will be up there because he always is. But I think Mercedes also have shown a lot of promise recently. So I think it at the moment it could be anyone's. I don't think there's one clear sort of walking away from the rest of them sort of team at the moment. It's very sort of it's quite close.
Yeah.
It started off completely different. It started off at the beginning of the year. It was the same sort of story that has been for the last couple of years, and Red Bull just disappeared.
Yeah.
But now it's, Mercedes are leading races and McLaren are leading races, and all of a sudden Red Bull aren't looking as good.
Ferrari are getting lapped with Leclerc on intermediate tyres on a dry track.
Yeah, good old Ferrari strategy.
I think there was a miscommunication on the radio there, but it was.
It was Hungary where they made that absolute. They just dropped everything, and their whole strategy just went to pieces, wasn't it? A couple of years back. And they were pitting cars, and the tires weren't ready, and they were putting the wrong tires on, and all sorts.
I feel for them because they're a proper team, and the drivers are good. Sainz and Leclerc are good, but you kind of feel you just wonder if they've really slipped on the people doing the actual strategy, because they seem to get it wrong quite often, and yet their car is, I think, probably a lot better than what it should be, or certainly when it's sporty.
I think there's more potential. I think the car is letting the drivers down somewhat at the moment. But they were another team. They look quite good at the start of the season.
Yeah, well,
Sainz especially look really good, but it just doesn't look as good anymore for whatever reason. I know upgrades have come in, but I think it's quite exciting at the moment. I think the Silverstone Grand Prix last weekend, the weekend before, was probably the most exciting race of the season so far.
No, it was a real thriller. And I remember, of course, a few years ago when they had that great battle between Hamilton and Verstappen at Hungary, when he came in for the new tyres, and he had to basically pass Verstappen, and eventually he caught up. But people didn't think, it's not going to happen, but he was about a second and a half a lap quicker, and then eventually he got it, and that was a great race. So maybe we might see something. I still wonder if Hamilton is wondering, why did I sign that Ferrari contract?
I would be. Wasn't it Hungary where? Wasn't it? I think it was Hungary where
Jenson
they went out and everybody pitted after the warm-up lap for different tyres, but Hamilton, and he started the race on the grid on his own. Wasn't that Hungary?
No, that could have been. I have a feeling I remember that.
Or was it Australia?
It was one of these ones where he started out, or was it not? He did that once at the Nürburgring GP race, and he got really hammered for it.
Everyone started on intermediates because there was damp parts of the track, but they did the warm-up lap, and everyone went, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
We're not starting on intermediates. This is a dry circuit. So everybody came in, and Hamilton went, no, I'm staying. I'm going to stick with this compound. Everybody changed but Hamilton, and the start of the race was literally just Hamilton on the grid by himself, nobody else.
I remember when he won in Fuji in 2007 on his first year, and that was because the conditions were dreadful. The rain was coming down, and he even bumped into, I think it was the Polish driver. What's his name again?
Kubica.
Yeah, Kubica. He had a slight coming together with him, but he kept going, and he ended up winning the race. And they had these wonderful onboard shots where you just couldn't see anything. And Martin Brundle was saying, this is where your senses go into overdrive. And then I remember when he won the race, Brundle says, if if Hamilton becomes the champion this year, he deserves it from that one performance alone, from that Fuji performance, because he ended up being miles in front of anybody. And I think Alonso had a huge crash. Now, was it with Mark Webber? I think it was one of the two. He had a huge crash into somebody else. It was, and I think Webber also, or Webber crashed into, was that the year when he crashed into Vettel? And Mark,
may well have been.
Vettel was driving for the kind of B team at the time, the kind of the Red Bull Juniors kind of thing. And it was quite a thing. But Simon says people kept saying, "Why is he going to Mercedes?" And then look what happened there. He has potential to sort Ferrari out. Yeah, I think that is true. I think because if you're Lewis Hamilton, you've got a group of people with you that are going to say that we have to do a proper performance.
He's going to know. He would have had talks with Ferrari, and there is going to be information regarding his move that he knows and Ferrari knows, and nobody else. Nobody knows everything. So. And he's not stupid, as much as people say they dislike him. And I'm not a fan of all of them, being brutally honest. But he's been in the sport a long time. He knows what he's doing, and he wouldn't be going to Ferrari if he didn't think there was some sort of hope that he would get the 8th World Championship. He wouldn't do it. He's going to go where he thinks he's got the best chance, because he's not getting any younger. There's new drivers coming in now. So I think there will probably be. He must be thinking. He would have thought at some point, I'm running out of time a little bit here to get this 8th world title, and I need to go somewhere that I'm going to be able to do that. It's just a little bit funny that he's had such a shocking time with Mercedes, and that must have had. I mean, it's got to have had some sort of impact on his decision. Because if Mercedes were doing well, he would have stayed at Mercedes. So they've been going downhill, and he's obviously thought, well, I'm going to jump ship, which most people I think would probably do the same. Now he's done the deal, and he's definitely off to Ferrari. All of a sudden, Mercedes have found pace from somewhere, and now I'd be quite worried if I was Hamilton.
He could finish on a high. I mean, to be fair,
I think he probably will. I think he probably will finish on a high
if he gets a few more race wins. I mean, I know he's like 100 or 250 points behind Verstappen. But
he's not going to get the championship this year. I think that's that's not going to happen. But I think he'll finish quite well if he carries on, if the team carries on the way that they're going.
I mean, if he gets a good run, sometimes that one win can help you get your focus back, and all of a sudden you could have 3 or 4 wins on the trot. And if he starts doing like that, if the Mercedes can also move forward, it could be very exciting, because if he starts getting points on the big numbers, then all of a sudden the championship starts to look rather different. And if the other top drivers aren't scoring that well, then points start to come down quite quickly. It's really what Lando needs to do. He needs to be winning races. He's got to be winning races and finishing ahead of Verstappen. And he's not quite been able to do it. He's only did it once in Miami, but he really needs to do it a bit more to try and put his, because he's quite close to Verstappen. He's not too far away.
He's not miles away.
It would be something. But he said of a feel that he will win this weekend, or Oscar. So you think maybe that Lando Norris might win, or Oscar?
I don't think it'll be long. Whether it's this weekend or later on in the season, I don't think it'll be long before we see Norris take another win. The car is really good at the moment, and he's not slow. He's only getting better, I think. I think he's better this season than he was last season.
And
I think
also
he's kind of
really pushes him. I mean, Piastri.
I think that's probably helped. I think and as much as they want to win, as individuals, it's nice. I would have thought to have a teammate that kind of pushes you that way to to want to win races, and they're probably quite enjoying it at the moment.
I mean, they're competitive, aren't they?
They're all competitive. They all want to win. If you've got a teammate that is making you think, oh, hang on a minute, I need to beat my teammate because I don't want to be the driver that I don't want to be a Perez. we'll call it.
Yeah. Well, that there was words I saw in Autosport saying that Christian Horner says that Perez is going to absolutely have to pick up the pace.
Well, let's be honest.
Going like that, you can't keep going.
You look back at people like Albon and Gasly and what happened to them at Red Bull. It's not unheard of. They're a pretty cutthroat team, Horner especially.
So might just pay them off and say, right, we'll get somebody else, because there's so many good drivers out there.
There's loads. There's loads at the moment. And I think if I was Perez, I'd be very worried.
Yeah.
I don't think his seat is safe at all at the moment.
No.
And they could quite easily go, no, you're not, because they've got a contract, and within that contract, I would assume
there'll be a performance.
There's going to be a performance goal. They'll need to meet targets like you would in any job. And if you're not performing to what's stipulated in the contracts when you sign it, then they'll go, well, no, thank you.
Yeah, but both Simon and DTR have made very good points. Simon said the Mercedes was suited to Silverstone because of the cooler conditions. Definitely worked a lot better. That seems to favour them. Hungary is often very hot, so will that be interesting to see how it goes with that. But Hamilton has been very good at Hungary before. He's won there quite a few times. So that might maybe help him. Hopefully it'll be close. And DTR has said, I can see Carlos coming back to the Red Bull. He would be very good in the Red Bull. I think he would push Max.
I think next season, I think we'll either see Carlos in a Red Bull or a Mercedes. That would be my guess. One of the two. I know they're looking at this.
Was it Aston? It was not Aston. It was Williams. Was it not? Williams were offering him a seat.
There's a few people that have, but I think he's going to want to go somewhere where he's got more of a chance of winning races. I think that there's probably going to be some fierce competition to get him. I think there's going to be some very upset team principals at the end of the year. I can see it getting quite messy, but I think it's kind of, usually we wouldn't be hearing about anything to do with driver changes this early on in the season. You don't usually start hearing about it until after the summer break. But because Hamilton has decided he's off to Ferrari and he's announced that early, it's kind of kicked other things or other teams into having to make decisions maybe earlier than they normally would. I think it could be quite interesting. He'll definitely have a seat for next year. I can't see him not having a seat. But which seat he has. But DTR has made a good. I was just about to say this Kimi that Mercedes are eyeing up. I don't think he's ready for F1. I think he's still a little bit. I mean, I can't. I mean, I don't know, but he seems a little bit wet behind the ears for me. If I had a choice between Carlos Sainz and a guy that is new to F1, I'd pick Sainz all day long.
Maybe quite funny putting Magnussen in the Red Bull, especially with his way he overtakes and defends. That would be quite funny.
I think what they should do is stick the only person that needs to be in a Red Bull or a Mercedes next year is what's that old Haas boss's name? Gunther Schneider. No, Gunther Schneider. He needs to be in the seat. He would be the best F1 driver ever. Hilarious.
He was good. I saw him at the Autosport show. They interviewed him at the Autosport show in January, and he'd just been fired a few days before. So he was giving his first interview with David Croft. And he is funny. It's like he was a decent, kind of pretty much straight down the line. He said what he wanted to say, and that was that.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of people like him.
Yeah. But there's some interesting facts that I'm sure Simon will confirm that in 1989. Mansell won from, I think it was about 14th on the grid, either 12th or 14th on the grid, and he had, and to do it, it was the first year that he was in the Ferrari, and he had only won, I think, 2 races. The first one being in the first time out in, I think it was either Mexico or Brazil. Was it Brazil? One of the first races he raced at, and the second one was Hungary. And in order to win in Hungary, he had to overtake Ayrton Senna, which he managed to do it when they were lapping. It was 12th on the grid, that's it, as Simon says. And it was at that time, you didn't have that long straight, so overtaking at Hungary was almost impossible. But he managed to catch Senna out during lap traffic, and he got past him and ended on winning the race. So that was a cracker way back in 1989.
It's had some controversial races, Hungary has.
Yes, well, of course, Hill and Villeneuve, when Hill was actually leading in the not the Tyrrell, in the Tom Walkinshaw, when it was the Arrows, and he had beaten Schumacher. He was in the lead, and then he had problems with his car, and then Villeneuve overtook him, but he did defend pretty wildly, and poor Villeneuve had to go in the grass to get past him. And Simon is confirming, yes, he won his first race in Brazil and then in Hungary, which was amazing. Senna got balked by Stefan Johansson, and Mansell pounced. Yeah, that was a classic one. Murray Walker went over the roof when it happened. He kind of went into overdrive. But that showed what Mansell was like and how he could do it. So they were classic races. And I'm sure Jenson Button won his first race. Was it 2006?
With
Honda, in the bar Honda there. So that was, and I think he came from like 14th on the grid. But it was
that incident with Alonso and Hamilton during qualifying as well.
Yeah, in 2007. That was crazy.
Naughty Alonso. Quite clever though, I have to admit, and also quite funny.
Yeah.
I just remember seeing the look on his trainer. I think it was his trainer. Afterwards, Ron Dennis went up to, I'm sure it was his trainer or his engineer. It might have been his engineer. I can't remember. But just literally grabbed him by the ear, gave him a proper tearing off, and just took his headset and went, "No, you're not having that. I'm having this." No, it's just hilarious.
Yeah.
And then he got a grid place penalty for that, didn't he? Or was he?
Yeah, because oh no, you're correct. Simon is saying it was his physio trainer.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Yeah, very, very naughty. You see the lollipop go up, and he just didn't move, and everybody that was watching just knew exactly what was going on, and you could just picture it. And he's thinking, "Oh my God, what am I doing? I'm stuck." And everyone knew straight away what he was doing, and he timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Quite the controversial. We'll call it Hungary Gate.
Yeah. And what's quite interesting in today's age of Formula One is that we do have a breadth of drivers, isn't it? In terms of the age gap, it's huge. We've got Lewis, who's now going to be 40 in next year. And we've also got, Alonso and Perez.
Yeah.
He's been around for quite a while. And even Hülkenberg, Magnussen, they've been around overall for quite a bit. Overall, they've had some gaps here and there. But it's quite interesting that you've got these really young people like Lando and Oscar Piastri and others. And then you've got the old chaps who are still there, showing that they can fight. I do feel a bit for Alonso because that Aston Martin has really struggled this year compared to what it was last year when it was much better.
I think if Alonso had a decent car, he'd be an absolute missile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think he's one of the most experienced drivers on the grid.
Yeah. Even last year when the car was good, he was right up there gunning for victories.
Yeah.
It was only because Verstappen was that little bit ahead. It was that little few, 3 or 4 tenths. But sometimes it looked as if the Aston Martin was going to be right there. And the funny thing is, it copied the Mercedes. And it basically copied the Mercedes. And that. So it shows you what you can do with a good photography, good camera.
Exactly.
But
I don't know how long he's going to be able to carry on for. I mean, I don't know. Wasn't there talk a little while back actually of Vettel coming back as well?
I can't remember what team it was going to be for, but it was there was.
It Audi? Wasn't it? Was it Audi?
Yeah, maybe. Possibly because he's German, and so maybe to have an official. I mean, I think Vettel is still very good, without doubt.
I think Vettel's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it was. Where was it? I think it was. Was it Monza or was it Imola? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But he'd been given a 5 second.
Yes. Yeah. And it wasn't it was the Red Bull Junior. It was like the Alpha, not the Alpha Tauri, but
when he got that 5 second penalty, and at the end of the race, he thought, "Hang on, no, I should have had first," and that penalty wasn't fair. So he strolled down to the front where they were down to Pat.
He put his car in the number one position, didn't he?
And he swapped the things over, and I was just there like that.
That was the thing.
That's
wasn't
exactly what I would have done. I'd have been like, stick this stuff, have some of this stewards. No, I'm swapping these round. Thank you very much. He's just brilliant. He's just brilliant. He's one of these people that just doesn't care.
Yeah.
And he's just a proper character. I think Kimi Räikkönen was also hilarious just because he was just so miserable.
Yeah, he'd hardly do any interviews, really. He'd hardly say anything.
And the funniest moment was, I can't remember what year it was, but he was put into the pits, and it was at the British Grand Prix, and he'd gone into the pit lane, and just as he got into the pit lane, his engineers going, stay out, and he just went nuts and lost it completely. And I thought, this is hilarious.
So now DTR said that he's feeling that Alonso is waiting for the hypercar drive for Le Mans. Yeah, that could be definitely one for Alonso. And Vettel will test the Porsche hypercar this year.
Yes.
So perhaps they'll be doing a bit more of the kind of WEC or that kind of racing in the near future. But so with Hungary coming up, I'm trying to think if there's any more double headers, because normally there've been 24 races this year and they've only just gotten halfway. Yeah. So there'll be Hungary, imagine there'll be Monza as well, or there'll be Belgium, there'll have to be Spa.
Then Spa usually comes after the summer break,
doesn't it? Yeah. So I wonder if there's a few more yet, because they don't have France. We didn't have Paul Ricard. Normally they have Paul Ricard.
Is there not?
I don't. It's normally it's earlier in the year, but they haven't had that so far. Unless perhaps it's coming up. I don't have the calendar here in front of me to see if it's there. And I quite like that track they had in Portugal. It wasn't Estoril. It was this new one.
No.
You had that huge shut the first year they had it during COVID.
Portimao, was it Portimao?
Yeah, Portimao. Yeah, I quite like that track. And that was the one where Raikkonen went past everybody. He was in the first lap.
While you're talking, I'm Googling the calendar as we speak.
2 more races. So it's so it must be Hungary, then it'll be Spa, and then Monza.
So where are we up to? It'll be
Hungary, then Monza, then Spa.
Hungary, then Spa.
All right, so Spa's after that. Okay.
Spa's at the end of this month, and then it's the break. Quite a long break, actually, by the looks of it. So Spa's on the 28th, and then at the end of August is the Netherlands. Then it's Monza.
Yeah. All right, so we've got an extra one in there. Okay. Yeah. And then does it go to Singapore after that?
It goes Netherlands, then Monza.
Yeah.
Azerbaijan.
Oh, Azerbaijan.
Then Singapore. Yeah. Then Singapore. Then it looks like United States. So that it doesn't actually say with the track layout. So that's COTA.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Then Mexico.
Yeah.
Then Brazil.
Yeah.
Then Las Vegas. Then Qatar. Then Abu Dhabi.
Oh yeah, Qatar. And then So what about Saudi Arabia was earlier this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the thing. But I quite, to be fair, I know people said, another track in America with Vegas, but the Vegas track was actually quite good. It was actually quite a good fun race.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, Miami was great. I know obviously it was better this year because Lando had a good race with Verstappen and won it, but I don't think the Miami track is that great overall. But I think the Vegas track is much better. Simon's saying there's too many races. Yeah. And when I first watched Formula One, there was only 14 or 15 races, and it finished in October. And that was it. Normally about the first week in October, that was it done.
Yeah. When that used to be, or when the BBC used to have it, when I used to watch it, when I first started watching it, when it was on the BBC, and I think didn't Steve Soper present it at one point? Can't remember.
I'm not Steve Soper. I know who you mean. He did it for ITV as well. But it was I know who you mean. Simon will know. It was Steve Ryder.
Steve Ryder. That's it.
Grandstand, wasn't it? Yeah. He used to.
That was. I mean, I used to watch it, and there was 17 races, 16, 17 races, something like that.
It's
now they just It's just it's a money making machine now.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. It's all about money. You know, what you call a media took over, and
but I mean, they just can't afford to get rid of the big races. Like if they got rid of Spa or Monza, that a few years ago they were thinking they would. I mean, that would just
I think it had killed the sport.
Yeah,
for a lot of people, because Monza and tracks like Monza, Spa, they're circuits that have been in the calendar for years, and if they get replaced by these circuits that have got snazzy flashing lights all over them and big screens sort of embedded into the grass or whatever they do at Vegas and whatever, I just think it's just a bit of a circus, isn't it? They can't get rid of tracks like Monza or Spa. They're classic circuits. That was it. That's what I'm trying to think of. BTCC.
Yeah, you used to introduce that. That was a big one. That was a really big one, wasn't it? But, Oh, it's. I just don't know where they're going to take it. I know they've got new regulations for next year, or 2026. They've got new engines are staying quite similar. They're using they're going to be bigger MCU, isn't it, or something, or they're dropping dropping one of them and then making another bit. But they're hoping to have a slightly higher rev range, so that might make it a bit noisier. But to be fair, the cars sound a little bit better now than they did. They're a wee bit noisier.
When they first brought them in, those hybrid engines sounded absolute garbage.
Well, they were awful. Yeah,
awful. They sound okay now.
Yeah,
but then unless they stick a V10 in it, no.
Yeah, well, all the drivers are still saying that's what they want. And whenever you watch like Goodwood over the weekend there, when they had they had the Red Bull car, they had the V8 and different things, and the noise was just amazing. I mean, it was, and you really felt it go through you. That when we used to go and watch the F1 testing in the early 2008, 2009, I mean, it was just brilliant. And but even the earlier
the last one that I saw was when Damon Hill was with Jordan.
Oh, in 97, 98.
That's the last sort of last proper F1 engined F1 car I saw, and I remember him coming out of, I think it was Brooklands, and he made a bit of an error, and then he did a proper 180 on the circuit and the load of tire smoke, and it just made your ears hurt. That was proper F1. It's not the same anymore, but
but you think they could apply that kind of engine, like a V8 or a V10, like what the fact GBRC was saying that V8 and V10 were the best sounding cars, and DTR says we need to go to a V8 hybrid. I had suggested that a while ago. I remember on some of the fan clubs on Facebook and different things. In fact, even on the F1, I used to do the F1 kind of fan page that you could go onto and do. But I gave up on it. It was all just games and gimmicks. But you could put your thoughts down. And because I said, why can't you do a V8 hybrid? That would be far more. If F1's going to be at the pinnacle, does it really want to go electric? I'm not entirely convinced.
If it went electric, I wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, or I think that there would be the numbers would go down by 3/4.
Yeah, I mean, they've already got Formula E. You don't need electric F1 cars. Stop it.
Yeah.
Batteries are made for toothbrushes and Walkmans. You don't need batteries in an F1 car. It's just ridiculous. No, it's not the same.
Oh, Simon, the last V8, last race that he attended was in 2013 when they had the V8s, of course, at that point, and they were amazing. In fact, I'll have to put a link in. There's a great YouTube. If you go to Abu Dhabi, I think it's 2012 or 2013, do the Abu Dhabi GP start, and someone's managed to take a great video on the grid. He's obviously in the spectator area, and they all come racing up, burning their tires and get on the grid, and it only lasts about a minute. And it's basically just from as soon as they get on the grid, everyone joins up. The man with the green flag goes past, and then the lights go on, and then they go off and off they fly. But it is the most incredible. It's a wonderful. Put it on your TV on YouTube and turn up the volume, and annoy your neighbours with this. But it was the most incredible sight.
Just saw a little. Where was it? Yes, DTR says the V8 hybrid like the Cadillac. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You could see. I think it was when it was debuted at Le Mans last year.
Yeah.
and you were just seeing these the hypercars and these LMP2 cars come past, and then you think, oh, yeah, they sound quite nice. And then this Cadillac came past that just sounded like a thunderstorm with wheels attached to it. It was awesome. Best sounding car there by a long way. And it was kind of the same this year as well. The Mustang as well. The GT3 Mustang sounded really good.
Yeah.
I mean, it spent most of its time in the garage, to be fair.
You know, unfortunately, we're not going to be listened to by Liberty Media or by the FIA. I think they've been, well, for a while they were they jokingly say we're carbon neutral, or we're going to make sure we're all sustainable. That as we fly around the world for 24 races, you know, I think, you know, always makes me think, if James Hunt was still around, I don't think he'd be buying any of that. You know,
no, definitely not.
I think there would be some fairly harsh words.
I think he'd have, he'd definitely have something to say about it. I think, yeah.
You know, but on that note, I think we've covered pretty much everything. We're about probably half the time what we did last week, but it means that people.
I think I think this week, because we've been able to get full sentences out. Sorry, Roo.
Maybe. We've covered it all in half the time, but no, it's been fantastic, Neil, to have you again as a guest. And next week you'll be away on holiday.
I'm away. Yeah, I'm away next Monday and the following Monday, so I won't be here for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and unless you want to join us from sunny France on a Monday night, a wee hour later, I will leave that with you.
No.
Yeah.
I will be mildly intoxicated, sat by a swimming pool.
Oh, well, that sounds nice to be around by a swimming pool when it's nice and warm.
I say mildly in a very loose term.
No, that's the thing. But no, it's been great to have you all with us. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching and contributing to the comments as well and making it such a good show. It's great to see you. But we'll be back next week. I'm not sure who my guest will be, but you'll have to wait and see who we can bring in on Monday night for our special show. But to everyone who has been watching and listening here on the podcast, please like and subscribe. You've been watching the Hugh Hatrick Show with Neil Chandler. Not that quick, Neil.
God, I'm going to smoke. Sorry. That was bad timing, wasn't it? Evening, everyone.
Away. And to all the wonderful chat, to Simon, Jerry, to GBRC, to Kiwi, to DTR, to Jonathan. Who else is there? Who's been in there tonight? To Tim, to everybody's been in. We've had
German Kiwi. You mentioned German Kiwi.
German Kiwi, yes, as well. And we've had a good number. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you'd like to appear on the show, just let me know. info@hughhatrick.com and we'll get you on. And you can be contributing just like Neil, the star that Neil is tonight. You could be replacing him over the next few weeks. Take care, everyone. Drive fast, but drive your bus even faster. Bye just now.